It was a quiet, uneventful evening at the Cedar Falls Police Department. The sun had just dipped behind the hills, painting the horizon in shades of orange and gold. Inside, the low hum of computers and the smell of burnt coffee filled the air. Sergeant Daniel Harper, a seasoned officer with 20 years on the force, was finishing up paperwork when the front door banged open, not from a person's hand, but from the sheer force of a large, frantic German shepherd pushing through. The dog's fur was matted, his sides heaving as though he'd run miles without stopping. His collar bore a faded tag with the letters A9 barely visible, and hanging limply from his jaws was the sleeve of a small, blood-stained sweater. Behind him, barely conscious and leaning against his side, was a little girl, no more than 10 years old. Her face was pale, streaked with tears and dirt, her legs trembling with each step she took. The room froze. Officers rushed forward. Harper knelt down, gently lifting the girl into his arms. Her lips quivered, but no words came out, just a weak, frightened gaze. The 9 barked urgently, pacing in short circles as though trying to say, "Follow me." Harper felt his gut tighten. "Get the medic," he shouted. "And someone get me a trace on this dog's tag. Now." The girl was rushed to the infirmary, but her trembling hand refused to let go of Harper's sleeve. She whispered, almost inaudibly, They have more kids." Her voice broke, and her eyes shut as she fell into unconsciousness. The room's energy shifted instantly. This was no random rescue. Something darker was lurking out there. Minutes later, Harper stood outside the station with the 9, now fitted with a GPS harness. The dog kept glancing back, as though urging him to hurry. It was risky, charging into an unknown situation, based only on the instincts of an exhausted, injured animal. But Harper's gut told him this was real. They followed the dog into the outskirts of town, through an old industrial area where most buildings had been abandoned for years. Rusted metal creaked in the wind, and the air smelled faintly of oil and decay. Eventually, they reached a warehouse whose windows were blacked out and whose doors had been reinforced. The dog whimpered and pawed at the door. Harper motioned to his partner, Officer Ruiz, to check for surveillance cameras. "We've got movement inside," Ruiz confirmed, his voice tense. "And, Dan, I'm pretty sure I just saw a kid's face in one of the upstairs windows." Harper's chest tightened. They called for backup, but before they could plan a tactical entry, the sound of a heavy lock sliding open echoed from inside. A man in a dirty hoodie stepped out, his face hidden in shadow. "You lost, officer," he sneered. What followed was tense and chaotic. Harper stalling the man while keeping his hand near his weapon, the 9 growling low beside him. But before things could escalate, the man whistled sharply and ducked back inside, slamming the door shut. That was enough. Harper's call went out, "We have probable cause. Breach immediately." The raid was swift but dangerous. Inside, officers found a labyrinth of makeshift rooms and locked cages. Children, some no older than 5, were huddled together in fear. The warehouse was a front for a child trafficking ring that had been operating for years, right under the town's nose. Gunshots rang out in the chaos, one striking Ruiz in the shoulder. Harper stayed behind to shield a group of kids as the 9 lunged at one of the armed men, knocking him down until officers could restrain him. By the end of the night, 12 children were rescued. Federal agents swarmed in, taking over the investigation. The leader of the operation, a man tied to multiple trafficking cases across 3 states, was arrested. Later, Harper visited the hospital where the little girl, Emily, was recovering. She was sitting up in bed, clutching a stuffed bear given to her by a nurse. When she saw Harper, her eyes lit up. "You came," she said softly. He smiled. "You're safe now, Emily, and the others are too, thanks to you and your friend here." He nodded toward the 9 who was lying at her bedside, tail wagging slowly. Through tears, Emily explained that the 9, named Rex, had been kept by the traffickers as a guard dog. But when she was hurt, Rex had stayed by her side, helped her escape, and led her straight to the police station. The moment was heavy, but it carried a powerful truth. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms or badges. Sometimes they walk on 4 legs and refuse to give up on someone in need. In the weeks that followed, Cedar Falls rallied together to support the rescued children. Harper testified in court, Emily began therapy, and Rex was officially retired from service. His new home, with Emily and her foster family. As Harper watched them together, he realized something. Justice isn't just about the big arrests or the headlines. It's about the lives saved, the second chances given, and the courage to act when something feels wrong. And sometimes it all begins with a single, determined bark in the night.